Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's been a little while. It's been a little hectic around here, but I am back and I'm finally doing a case video for you guys. It's been like 2 years, something like that, since I've done a case, so I have one. I'm prepared. So today I wanted to talk about Delphine LaLaurie, which is a pretty old, very old, pretty popular, well-known case. There's a good chance that you might have already heard of her. American Horror Story even portrayed part of this story where Kathy Bates played Delphine. I will throw in a quick trigger warning just because this case is the most graphic, one of the most graphic that I've ever heard. And I will be covering those details, so if that's not something you can handle, I highly suggest not watching this video. If you want to just skip over that part, you can. But it's pretty terrible, so I just wanted to throw that in there. To go over some of her backstory, she was born Marie Delphine McCarty. She was born on March 19th, 1787. She was eventually called Madame LaLaurie, and she was a socialite from New Orleans. She was married twice before finding her last husband, Dr. LaLaurie. They got married in 1825, and both of her husbands prior to this died. In 1831, she bought property at 1140 Royal Street, which she managed in her own name with very little involvement from her husband. In 1832, she had a 2-story mansion built on that property, and it was completed with slave quarters. Unfortunately, this was obviously at a time where slavery was a very common thing, and she lived at this mansion with 2 of her daughters and her husband. To the public, she was seen as very polite, very courteous. It seemed like she treated her slaves well, which is a very weird sentence to say out loud. Court records at the time even showed that she had previously freed 2 of her slaves. On one occasion, rumors did go around that she was mistreating the slaves, but when a lawyer showed up to remind her of the laws on the upkeep, he didn't find evidence of wrongdoing or mistreatment. Funeral registers between 1830 and 1834 show the deaths of 12 slaves at the Royal Street Mansion. However, it doesn't mention their cause of death. After the visit with the lawyer, one of the neighbors claimed to have seen a little girl fall from the roof. This little girl's name was Leah. She was around 12 years old, and the story goes that she was brushing Madame LaLaurie's hair and she caught a snag, which really ticked her off. LaLaurie then grabbed a whip, started chasing her with it, and the little girl was so scared of punishment that she jumped off the roof and fell to her death. This incident led to an investigation of the LaLauries, where they were found guilty of cruelty and mistreatment, and they were forced to forfeit 9 slaves, which they ended up buying back from a relative at a later time. It was even reported that Delphine would beat her own children when they tried to feed the slaves. On April 10th, 1834, the LaLauries were hosting a party at their mansion when a fire broke out. So this part of the story is a little fuzzy, and I think it's just because this case is so old that we're not entirely sure which version of this is true. But basically, when the fire broke out, one source said that the LaLauries fled the party immediately before police or anything even got there. It's also said that when they tried to check one of the rooms upstairs, Delphine refused to let them into the room. I'm not entirely sure which of this is true, but I'm just going to go over the rest of the details. Anyway, when police showed up, they found the cook, who was a 70-year-old woman, chained to the stove. She admitted that she started the fire herself as a suicide attempt because she was so afraid of punishment. She did not want Delphine to take her to the top floor, where she says slaves are never seen again. As reported the next day, on April 11th, responders to the fire wanted to sweep through the house and make sure that everybody had evacuated safely. After being denied entry to a room on the top floor, they decided to break the door down, and here's your warning. This is where it gets very graphic. They reported finding 7 slaves who were in absolutely horrible condition. They were just mutilated. Some of them had their eyes sewn shut or their eyes gouged out. Some of them had shit, feces in their mouth, and then their mouths sewn shut. One person was found hanging by their neck with their limbs so stretched that they were starting to tear. Someone else had a hole drilled in their head, and there was a spoon nearby, and they say that the spoon was used to stir their brains. And she would leave these wounds just open and let maggots and ants crawl around in them. One woman, this one fucks with me. One woman had bones that had been broken and reset so that she resembled a spider or a crab. Another woman was wrapped in intestines. There were even rumors that there were hundreds of more bodies in the attic that were probably mutilated beyond recognition. It was just one of the most disturbing and vile things anybody has ever seen. When the discovery of the abused slaves became widely known, a mob of local citizens attacked the mansion. They completely demolished and destroyed everything. By the time police got there, there was nothing left except for the walls. The bodies they found were then taken to a local jail and put on display, where around 4,000 people showed up just to convince themselves it was real. That's a lot of people to show up and look at these bodies. That feels very, wrong. Delphine's life was not very well documented after 1834. She fled to Paris. Reports stated that she died in Paris in 1849 until a plaque was found in New Orleans St. Louis Cemetery. On it says in French, Madame LaLaurie, born Marie Delphine McCarthy, died in Paris December 7, 1842. So it's thought that she did eventually return to New Orleans under a new name and continued her reign of terror, but it can't be confirmed because her body was never found. Later, when they were trying to rebuild the mansion, construction workers apparently found bone fragments buried in the floor and even the walls. It was fully rebuilt by 1988 and had been used for several things: a private residence, a bar, a girls' school, a conservatory for music, a homeless shelter, a furniture store, and an apartment building. At one point, it was even purchased by Nicolas Cage, who bought it for $3.4 million in 2006. However, he did go through some financial issues and he lost it to foreclosure in 2009. It was then purchased by Michael Whalen in 2010. As far as paranormal activity goes, neither Whalen nor the woman that designed the house have had any experiences, but the home's caretaker, Carol Williams, does say that she has had some experiences herself. After the renovation and design work had been done, Whalen did end up having the place blessed. They really turned it around. Everybody says that it looks completely different from how it looked before. I do have some pictures, I'll include them in this video if I haven't already, but it's really, really beautiful inside. It was clearly a place of torture and really dark, but it looks very beautiful now. It's still standing. I'm not really sure if it's being used as a private residence or what's going on with that, but that is the story of Madame LaLaurie. I'm very curious to see what you guys think of this one. If you haven't heard of it, I'd be kind of surprised. Like I said before, I feel like this one's really popular. It's very well known. It's very, very old, so I guess we can't really say how much of this is true at this point, but it is one of the crazier ones that I've heard. It just gives me the goosebumps. It makes me sick, so. Anyways, that's it for me today, you guys. I will be back hopefully next week from whenever you're seeing this. I hate doing the basic outro of give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below, but you guys know the drill. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.